Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria. I am going to show you how to do a self-rolling hem. It's literally like magic. So I've got some lightweight linen here and a very thick black thread. I need good contrasting color thread so you guys could see my stitches really, really well. Before I started, I went ahead and took my iron and creased this tiny little hem. Literally, it's like 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than that, but really, really small. And I'm going to show you how this works. I'm just pulling. All I'm doing is pulling, and ta-da! I've got myself this really nice, fine rolled hem. So I'm just going to show you how to do that real quick. Let me lock my stitch in so I don't lose that. So I'm just going to take a few little threads right by my last stitch, pull and lock that in. So basically how you want to do this is we're going to start at the bottom right underneath where the edge of our little hem meets. And we're going to draw an imaginary line from our starting point up to the crease. Now I'm going to go into the crease, not all the way through my fabric. Literally, we're going to encapsulate our needle into the crease. And then you're going to bring it through, take just a couple of threads. You don't really need to take a lot. And then again, you're going to draw another imaginary line from the top here all the way down to the bottom, right where it meets the hem. And we're going to take a couple of threads, 3, 4, 5, and then again back up. So you kind of start to, and again into my crease. See how I'm not going through, I'm not going through the fabric, I'm going into the crease, okay? So we're going into the fold. And well, I didn't trim these excess threads off. I usually do that. And then again, a couple of threads. Sorry, that was the cat. And then back in. If it wants me to do it, there we go. And the finer your spacing, I'm only kind of going about a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch in between my stitching spacing. Obviously that one's pretty uneven, because the finer the hem, the closer you're stitching, the finer the hem you're going to have. Now you don't want your stitches like on top of each other, because otherwise this method won't work like at all. I don't think I grabbed enough over there, so I kind of made a mistake there, but we're going to go ahead and pull. And you don't want to yank it because you don't want to break your thread, or you don't want it tearing through your fabric, especially if you're using a fine linen like this. What I do is I only get about 4 or 5 stitches through, maybe about an inch or so, and then I pull, and then I sew up another inch, and then I pull. So when you go to pull, if you don't lock your final stitch in, the roll is just gonna pull out. So what we want to do, and I hope you can see this is where my thread is coming from. I'm going to start where that little stitch is, and literally just make another stitch right. You can either split it or like right under it, whichever, and that really locks in that stitch. So that's what your outside is going to start to look like. Obviously, it looks pretty janky right now because it's, not a matching thread or anything like that. So it's not really pretty. But with practice, you'll get the hang of it. And then again, from where we've anchored our stitches, we're going to go draw that imaginary line straight up to our fold. Our needle in our fold, and then imaginary line. I hope you can kind of see this. Sorry, I'm kind of had to do a makeshift little camera frame here. So I'm hoping you can kind of get this a little bit. There we go. Make just so you've got it down, and just take a little imaginary line straight down from where your thread is coming out of. Take a little stitch, And again, you're not stitching both your hem to your base fabric. You're stitching just the base fabric right on the edge of that hem. You're not picking up both layers. Just back up. And again, imaginary line all the way down, and then whoop, come here, needle. So you should just have a really good, consistent up, down, just like this little, it looks like a bed spring is really what it looks like to me. It's just this really weird little bed spring pattern. And you can do this on veils, you can do this on necklines, you can do this on the edging of silk banners, you can do this on basically any kind of hem that where you really want a nice, tiny, fine rolled hem. This stitch is really, really great. Now, here's a tip. When you go to pull, you really don't want to pull your thread when it's here at top. You always want to be pulling your thread tight to roll your hem. Make sure you have your thread is coming out from the bottom, not the top. It will roll if you do it, but it's going to turn out really janky, and it's going to be really hard to lock those stitches in once you've pulled it. So do not pull until your thread is coming out here at the bottom. I learned that the hard way, and you get really weird little puckers, and your hem kind of looks a little janky. So don't do that. So again, we're just going to the bottom, back down, take a few threads. And this doesn't have to be an exact measured science. It's really not, because it's not a science, it's an art. And then you're just going to go in and pull, pull, pull. You don't want to yank it too much because it will pucker, but a nice little pulled hem, just like that. So pretty. So that's how I do all of my veil hems. Literally all of my veil hems. I've done my neckline hems like that because, you overcut them or what have you, and you have a really, really tiny, tiny bit to actually create a hem. Hey, you don't need a whole lot of fabric. And what's great is you don't have to sacrifice a lot of your fabric to any seam allowance when you do this method. So that's it. Really simple, really straightforward. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to find me on Facebook under Maria Geeslin, Geeslin, or find me at Event. If you have any other questions, just feel free to comment below, shoot me a message, what have you. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope this helped. Have a good night. Really weird waving. Bye.